Hey guys, tonight we travel not through grand palaces or peaceful temples, but straight into the mud, the chaos, and the very worst job you never wanted, being a wartime messenger. If you think running errands is bad now, try it with arrows flying past your head, wolves in the woods, and a scroll in your pocket that might get you executed. And no, there's no bonus pay. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Also, let me know in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it for you? Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You stand at the edge of a camp that smells like wet leather, dying fires, and too many men in not enough space. Behind you, your commander is shouting. Ahead of you, darkness, thick fog, and a road that might not exist anymore. But you've got a message, tied in a tube around your neck, sealed with wax and anxiety, and it has to be delivered before sunrise. No armor, no sword, no backup, just you and a tunic. Because you're a messenger. You're the guy everyone depends on, but no one wants to be. You trudge forward, boots sloshing through a trail that's more swamp than road. Your feet already hurt, and you're 10 steps in. And here's the kicker. You're not even supposed to fight. But if someone finds you, they'll probably try to kill you anyway. Why? Because you're alone. Because you're running. Because you might be carrying a secret that could turn the tide of the entire war. And honestly, you kind of are. Historians still argue whether messengers were considered soldiers, servants, or expendable chess pieces. Spoiler, it was often all three. You duck under a fallen branch, only to catch a thorn to the cheek. Perfect. You're bleeding now. Nothing says low priority military role, like being stabbed by a bush before the enemy even sees you. Some messengers were given horses. You were not, because apparently horses are too valuable to risk. But your legs, go ahead, run them into the ground. You hear something behind you. A twig snaps. Your whole body locks up. You don't breathe. You listen. Silence. Maybe it was a deer. Maybe it was an enemy scout. Maybe it was the sound of your own sanity, waving goodbye. You keep going. You reach a fork in the path. No signs, no markers, just mud and trees. And your memory of a map you saw once, upside down, while squinting over a general's shoulder. You pick left. Wrong choice. We'll find out later. As the hours crawl past, your world becomes one footstep at a time. You repeat the names in your head. The camp, the general, the message. You touch the scroll tube like it's a good luck charm or a loaded curse. You start to hum, anything to keep your mind from spiraling. Then you hit a hill, not a little bump, a full, angry hill covered in slippery rocks and zero sympathy. You climb. Halfway up, it starts to rain, of course, because the gods, if they're watching, clearly wanted to test just how dedicated you are to your job. The scroll stays dry. Mostly, you do not. Your tunic clings to you like shame. Your sandals squelch. Your legs shake. At the top of the hill, you pause. Not for the view. There isn't one. Just fog. You're pausing to remember why you took this job in the first place. Oh, right. You didn't. You were told. picked from a lineup of expendable but reasonably fast soldiers. Now you're a message mule in the middle of a storm. You head downhill, slower, carefully. You slip twice. Catch yourself both times. Your knee will remember this later. Eventually, you see the flicker of torchlight. A camp, not yours. Hopefully friendly. Hopefully, you step into the clearing and immediately raise both hands. You shout your name, your purpose, the passphrase. 3 archers train arrows on you anyway. A soldier steps forward, grabs your scroll, breaks the seal. He reads. Then he squints at you and says the nicest thing you've heard all day. You're late. You collapse onto the nearest log, dripping, bleeding, and too tired to respond. But the message is delivered. You survived, barely. You wake up face first in mud. Not battlefield mud. Not heroic, blood-streaked mud. Just regular, cold, worm-filled mud. Outside a tent flap that nobody offered to open for you. Your back is stiff. Your boots are gone. Your ankle itches in a way that probably means something bit you while you slept. But the message was delivered, and no one cares. You're just the messenger, the commander of this camp. Some nobleman with a cloak bigger than your bedroll waves you off with a grunt. No, thanks. No coin. No offer of dry socks. Just a vague gesture toward the North Road. And the phrase, "We need a reply delivered immediately." Of course you do. You try to stand and feel every bone in your legs protest like unpaid workers. But you're up. You're already reaching for the next scroll before someone throws it at your chest. It's sealed again. Wax. Red this time. That means it's urgent, or dangerous, or both. Probably both. You stuff it into your tunic, tug your damp hood over your head, and ask if there's a fresh horse. They laugh. You ask if there's an old one. They laugh harder. So you set off on foot. Again. Historians still debate whether messengers like you were considered elite or expendable. On paper, you're essential. In practice, you're the guy everyone sends when the job is too dangerous for someone they actually like. As you trudge through brush and bramble, your thoughts wander. You remember when you first started, the first time someone handed you a scroll and said, "Run." You were faster back then, cleaner, optimistic even. You thought, maybe this is how you earn your place. Deliver the message, save the day. But then you learned, the messages don't always matter. Sometimes they're lies. You think back to that village. 2 weeks ago, you carried a note marked emergency evacuation. Got it there in record time. The town burned anyway. Turns out the message was 2 days too late, before it even hit your hands. You heard the screams. You don't run faster now to be the hero. You run because the next one might still matter. Might. The forest gets denser. Roots twist underfoot like snakes. The trees are damp with last night's rain. Your shoulders ache from holding your pack too tight. The scroll tube presses against your ribs with each step, a rhythmic reminder that your comfort doesn't matter. You hear something, not a bird, not wind, voices, too far to see, too close to ignore. You drop low, crawl behind a fallen log, and wait. 3 men walk past. Not soldiers, not locals, bandits, maybe, or deserters. You stay frozen, heartbeat loud in your ears if they see you. They'll take the scroll. Or you. Or both. They pass. You wait 2 minutes longer, then rise, slowly, limbs creaking like old wood. The road curves north. You follow. The scroll feels heavier than it did an hour ago. You pass the skeleton of a watchtower. Burnt out, overgrown. A bird nests in what used to be a guard's helmet. You think, maybe he was a messenger too. You don't say it aloud. Instead, you hum. Not for joy, for sanity. Your boots squish. Your cloak drips. You are a traveling puddle of exhaustion with a wax seal strapped to your chest. A few hours later, you reach a checkpoint, a half-built barricade manned by 2 guards who look barely old enough to shave. They see you, cross their spears, and shout, "Stop!" You stop. You shout back your name, your origin, the passphrase. They hesitate. One whispers to the other. Then they lower the spears. "Messenger?" one asks, like it's a curse word. You nod, hand over the scroll. He doesn't even read it, just runs it to a man in a larger tent. You're told to wait, so you sit, this time on a dry crate. Progress. They bring you a crust of bread. No water, but bread. You chew slowly, each bite echoing like gravel in your stomach. Your mouth is too dry to swallow. You manage anyway. Eventually, the man in the tent returns. He nods. It's received. You ask if a reply is needed. He considers. Not yet. We'll send word if we do. You sigh. Not because the job's done, but because you know what comes next. You'll walk back. No cart, no mount, just the road again. They hand you a chit, proof of delivery. Useless, unless someone accuses you of slacking off. You tuck it into your belt, nod, and begin the return journey. It's almost dark, and no, there's still no armor, just a thin tunic, a half-eaten crust, and a sky that looks like it's about to rain betrayal. The sun doesn't rise. Not really. It just sort of appears, hidden behind a thick, indifferent blanket of gray. The kind of sky that makes everything feel damp before it even rains. You stretch your legs, rub your eyes, and remember you slept, curled beside a tree root that had opinions about your spine. Your body aches in that deep, structural way, like your bones have started to unionize. Still, you stand, because that's what messengers do. You walk. Today, you're heading back the home same way you came, which should feel easier. It doesn't. Everything looks different when you're facing the opposite direction, and even more so when you're half delirious from hunger and haven't slept more than 2 hours in 2 days. You pass the burned tower again. The bird is gone. The helmet remains. A squirrel now sits inside, chewing on something that might be a button. You nod at it. It does not nod back. About an hour into your trek, you hear rustling. Quick, light footsteps behind you. You freeze. Turn slowly. Boy, no more than 12, barefoot, carrying a sack, eyes darting like a cornered animal. You raise a hand, cautious. He bolts. Just like that, gone into the trees. You sigh. Not your problem. Probably a scavenger or a runner. Maybe even another messenger. Child couriers are common. They're fast, cheap, disposable. You remember when you were that age. You once outran a dog and a soldier in the same hour. Thought you were invincible. Now, your ankles click when you kneel. You trudge on. The road is worse now, washed out into parts, mud swallowing your boots like it's got a personal grudge. You use a stick as a makeshift cane, prodding ahead with each step. The silence is almost comforting. Then, the birds stop. That's when you know. You drop flat, crawl behind a thicket. Ahead, on the trail, you spot two men, crossbows, dirty uniforms, talking low. Definitely not friendly. You curse under your breath. You're not carrying anything this time. No scroll, no map, nothing worth stealing, but you're breathing. And sometimes that's enough to make someone want to stop you. You wait. 5 minutes. 10. Your legs start to cramp, but you don't move. Eventually, they move on. You wait longer, just in case. When you finally stand, your knees crack like cheap pottery. You stretch, hiss, and limp forward again. There's a river up ahead. Last time, you crossed it on a small, suspiciously slippery bridge. This time, gone, washed out. Now it's you versus the current. You strip off your boots, tie them around your neck, grip your stick, and step into the water. It's cold. Like, reconsider all your life choices. Cold. You inch forward, each step a battle against rocks, force, and the steady threat of being swept away, like an unwanted leaf. Halfway through, you slip, fall sideways, go under. You panic, flail, gasp, and somehow manage to grab onto a log drifting by like divine intervention in tree form. You haul yourself to the bank, soaked, bruised, gasping, but alive. You lie there for a while, not because you're lazy, because you're human. Eventually, you sit up, pat your side. Your chit, your proof of delivery, is still there. Damp, but intact. You laugh. A dry, bitter, slightly hysterical sound that startles a bird from a nearby bush. You've made it halfway. Now for the second half. You keep walking. You pass a broken down wagon. 2 shattered wheels. Dried blood. No bodies. Just quiet. You don't stop. You pass a tree with strange carvings. Symbols you don't recognize. Possibly tribal. Possibly warnings. You don't stop for that either. You step on something that crunches. Bone. Not human. You hope. You pass a soldier. Dead. Face down in the mud. Armor stripped. Fingers frozen in a claw. You don't even flinch anymore. Historians still argue how much messengers knew of the larger war they walked through, whether they understood the strategies, the losses, the victories, whether they felt part of it, or simply passed through like ghosts on errands. You know your answer. You feel all of it. The dirt, the fatigue, the guilt, when you see what happens between messages, and the hollow hope that maybe, just maybe, your next delivery will change something. Anything. You stop at a small clearing, sit on a stump, pull out your soggy bread from yesterday. Try to eat. It tastes like mildew and misery. You eat it anyway. You don't know how far the camp is now. Could be an hour, could be 3. But you stand again. Because messengers don't rest. Not really. You walk with wet boots, a stick, and the aching feeling that you're less a person and more a very determined shadow. No scroll, no glory, just the road. And you. You're not sure how long you've been walking. The sky's still gray. The light's still dull. The scenery hasn't changed in hours. Trees, mud, wind, trees. Disappointment. And, ah yes, More trees. You step over a flattened squirrel, probably run over by a cart, or a very determined goose. You don't check. Your stomach growls. Loudly, you pat your side, where the last of your food used to be. Gone. You finished the bread back in the clearing, and the moldy part you tried to ignore is now staging a coup in your intestines. You mutter to yourself something about bread being a traitor. You consider eating the chit in your belt pouch. It's paper, technically edible, probably, but it's also your only proof that you did your job. And in a war zone, proof matters more than your stomach. You reach a crossroads. Again, no signs, just ruts from cartwheels and a trail of boot prints leading both ways. You squint at the dirt, poke it with your stick, and pretend you know how to track. You don't. You guess. Left this time. Again, the trees thin. You see smoke in the distance, thin, curling wisps rising behind a hill. Could be a cooking fire. Could be a raided village. Could be both. You keep your hand near your side. You don't have a weapon, but you do have a rock in your pocket you've been carrying for 3 days. You named it Optimism. It's not a great rock, but it makes you feel better. You crest the hill and stop. It's a small farmhouse, still standing. No signs of burning, pillaging, or sudden screaming. Just a quiet structure, surrounded by half-dead crops and one very fat chicken. You approach slowly. You knock. The door creaks open. A woman peers out, middle-aged, suspicious, holding a ladle, like she's ready to defend her potatoes. I'm a messenger, you say, hands raised. She looks you up and down. Soaked tunic, mud-caked boots, 1,000-yard stare. You look like it, she says. She lets you in. The interior is plain, warm, smells like cabbage and distrust. She gives you a bowl of something vaguely edible. You eat it without asking questions. You don't even taste it. It could be soup. It could be porridge. It could be revenge. It's hot. That's enough. She doesn't ask your name. You don't ask hers. She sits across from you and knits with the kind of aggressive energy only people near war zones have. After a few minutes, she asks, "Any news from the south?" You hesitate. You don't have a scroll, but you do have a memory. You tell her, "The front's holding. The enemy retreated. Reinforcements are on the way," all of which might be true. Probably. Hopefully. She nods. Doesn't smile. Just keeps knitting. You sleep on her floor that night. By the fire. No blanket. But the warmth is enough. You use your cloak as a pillow and thank the gods that nothing tried to eat you while unconscious. In the morning, she hands you a roll of cloth. "Bandages," she says. "You look like you'll need them." You thank her. She shrugs. "Tell them I'm still here, if they care." You nod. Promise. Then leave. The road feels lonelier after that. Not because it's emptier, because it reminded you people still live in this world, off the beaten path, hanging on with cabbage and defiance, and you carry their hope in your footsteps. You pass a tree with a message carved into the bark. Turn back. You don't. Another hour, and the wind picks up, chilly, sharp, cuts through your damp clothes like tiny knives. You mutter curses at the wind. It doesn't respond, but it does blow your hood back just to make a point. Ahead, you spot movement, a figure, walking toward you. You tense. Is it a bandit? A deserter? Another messenger? As they get closer, you see it's a soldier, bleeding from the shoulder, limping, holding a broken spear like a crutch. He sees you, nods. You nod back. No words, just the silent recognition of two people too tired to be threats. He veers off into the trees. You keep moving. Eventually, you reach the edge of a ridge. Below, your camp, or what's left of it. Tents, smoke, flags. The organized chaos of people trying not to fall apart. You descend, legs wobbling. At the gate, a guard stops you, doesn't even speak, just raises a brow. You hand him the chit. He waves you through. Inside, you spot a familiar face, a quartermaster. He nods, tosses you a piece of bread, and says, "Welcome back." You nod. Sit on a crate. Bite the bread. Moldy, of course. But you chew. And for now, you're home. You're only back in camp for 12 minutes before someone starts shouting your name. Well, your position. No one uses your real name anymore. You're just Runner, Courier, or the more popular favorite, you. Go. You wipe your mouth with the back of your sleeve, pocket the rest of your bread, and shuffle toward the shouting. It's the commander. Again, different face, same tone. He doesn't say hello, doesn't ask if you're alive, just thrusts a scroll into your hand and points north. This goes to the third encampment on the ridge. Get there before dusk. Dusk? You glance at the sky. It's already mid-afternoon. Great. You tuck the scroll into the wax-sealed tube, sling your pack over your shoulder, and start walking. Again, your knees protest like a mob of blacksmiths. Your boots are stiff with yesterday's river. Your tunic still smells like cabbage and faint despair, but you move. Because if you don't, someone else dies. Maybe a scout walks into an ambush. Maybe a flank gets hit. Maybe a town doesn't evacuate in time. And maybe no one knows that you were the one who could have stopped it. If you'd just gone faster, so you go. Historians still argue whether wartime messengers were trained soldiers or simply desperate runners pulled from civilian ranks. You've known both. Some messengers carry swords. Others carry nothing but hope. You carry a rock named optimism and a scroll that could alter a battle. You jog now, not a full sprint, just enough to make progress. The road to the ridge is uneven. Sharp rocks, exposed roots, the occasional surprise rabbit darting from the bushes like it's personally offended by your existence. After about an hour, the sky darkens faster than expected. Of course, storm clouds. Again, rain starts like it's easing into things. Soft drops, little taps on your hood. Then it shifts to full betrayal. The wind howls. You lean forward, pushing through sheets of rain that blur the path and soak your pack. The scroll is protected. For now, you check the wax seal every few minutes like a nervous parent. Thunder cracks above. Somewhere in the trees, a branch snaps. Not lightning, something else. You stop, listen. Footsteps, fast, uneven, close. You drop behind a tree, heart hammering. You draw a dagger, rusty, dull, but better than your bare hands. A figure stumbles into view. Not a soldier, not a bandit, another messenger. He's limping, soaked, clutching his side where blood seeps through his tunic. He spots you, barely raises his hand. North Ridge? He gasps. You nod. He collapses. You run to him. Kneel. He's alive. Barely. You help him sit up. He coughs, spits blood, and pulls something from his belt. A scroll. Take it, he says. Same place. Faster than me. You hesitate. Your own scroll. His. 2 missions. One you. One route. You take both. You give him half your bread. He tries to chew. Fails. You promise to send help. You don't know if help will come, but you say it anyway. You tuck both scrolls into your pack and run. Not jog, not walk, run. The path climbs fast now. Loose stones slip beneath your feet. Rain turns the dirt into soup. Your legs burn, your lungs beg. You don't stop. You pass a broken cart, empty, abandoned. The wheel still spinning slightly, like it hasn't accepted being useless yet. Same. You reach the ridge just as night claws at the last bits of light. Torches burn at the gate. You shout before you're seen. Your name, your role, your purpose. 2 spears lower. A man runs forward. You collapse to your knees and hand him both scrolls. He stares. You brought 2. You nod. Chest heaving. He opens the one from the wounded. Runner first. Skims. Frowns. Then the second. His eyes widen. You. He cuts himself off. Turns. Runs to the command tent. You sit in the mud, shivering. Rain still pelts your face. Your fingers are numb. You can't feel your left foot, but the scrolls are delivered. 10 minutes later, a medic brings you a dry cloth and a flask of something strong enough to burn your throat and your regrets. You just saved the 3rd flank, he says. You nod, too tired to speak. He gestures to the other messenger's scroll. That one warned of a supply cut. Yours warned of an ambush. You stare at the fire now crackling in front of you. 2 messages. 2 runners. 1 story. 1 lucky ending. This time, you sleep in a tent that night. A real one. Canvas roof. 2 dry blankets. And a little straw under your body instead of rocks. You almost cry from joy, but your body's too tired to leak. When you wake, someone's left a bowl of something next to your head. Warm, thick, suspiciously beige. You eat all of it without question. It could be porridge. It could be mashed turnip. It could be glue. You don't care. It fills the hollow in your stomach, where feelings used to be. Outside, the camp is already awake. Men shuffle between tents. Horses snort. A cook shouts about someone stealing the last of the barley. You stretch your legs, yawn, and feel something, not hurt, for the first time in days. You enjoy it for 30 seconds. Then a hand slaps your shoulder. Hard. You flinch. It's the quartermaster. Message came from the southern outpost, he says. They need a response delivered, immediately. Of course they do. You stand, pull your cloak tighter, and hold out your hand. Scroll. Wax seal. Same as always. This one's blue. That usually means it's for a supply chain. Or maybe reinforcements. Or maybe the usual, we're all doomed, in slightly more optimistic wording. You don't ask. You tuck it into your pouch, grab a water skin, and adjust the straps on your pack. You spot a small piece of salted meat in the supply crate. You reach for it. The quartermaster smacks your hand. No snacks? You glare. He grins. You leave. The path south is narrow, cut into a low ravine, muddy walls on either side, like walking through a damp throat. The sun tries to burn through the clouds, but gives up around mid-morning. You pull your hood low and start counting your steps. You hit 400 before you hear it. Hooves. Coming fast. You duck behind a boulder just as a rider barrels down the path. A scout. He doesn't stop. Doesn't look at you. He's bleeding from the shoulder and missing a boot. You hope he made it out of wherever he came from. You push forward. A few miles down the trail, you see signs of struggle, broken arrows, scorched branches, a cracked helmet half buried in mud. You walk faster. Then comes the smell. Burnt canvas, blood, something worse. You crest a small hill and see it. The outpost is gone. Or rather, what's left of it is smoke, ash, and scattered equipment. A tent still smolders. A body lies twisted near a collapsed fence. You freeze, because your message was for them. But now, they aren't there. So what do? You could go back. Say nothing. Say they're gone. Be done. But then, someone groans. You dart forward, slipping in the mud, and find a soldier under a plank of wood, barely breathing. He blinks at you, tries to speak. You hand him water. He gulps once, chokes, then points. Southwest. He mouths something. You lean in. Survivors. Ran. Then he goes still. You close his eyes, stand, and run, because now the message matters more than ever. Not just for orders, but to warn. You follow the signs. Broken branches, footprints, a torn cloak, caught on a root. You don't know how many survived. Could be 5, could be 50, could be none. But you chase anyway. Historians still argue whether messengers should have had the authority to reroute themselves during emergencies. Some commanders expected strict obedience. Others preferred adaptability. You don't care what the scroll says anymore. You're following the trail because instinct tells you to, and instinct's gotten you this far. You find the survivors. After 2 hours of climbing and sliding and promising your legs, they'll get to rest in the afterlife. They're hidden in a grove. 10 men, 1 woman, 2 badly wounded, all armed, all jumpy. You approach with hands raised, shout the passphrase, and nearly get speared anyway. But then, one recognizes you. You're the guy from the ridge, he says. You nod. He grabs your arm. They didn't know we got out. You pull the scroll from your pouch. It's for your commander. He's dead, so they hand it to the next in line. A grizzled woman with a scar down her face and eyes that say she's already seen next week's nightmares. She reads the scroll, nods once. We move. You don't ask where. You don't care. You just sit. For the first time that day, a medic bandages a man's leg. Someone hands you a boiled root. You eat it. Tastes like dirt. Still better than nothing. Before they leave, the scarred woman turns to you. You coming back with us? You shake your head. You've got to return. Report. Carry the story. She nods. Presses something into your hand. A bronze token. Unmarked. Heavier than it looks. For the commander. Proof we made it. You tuck it into your belt. Then turn north again. Alone. You move through the woods. like a shadow with sore knees. The underbrush scratches your legs, and every twig that snaps underfoot sounds like a drum roll for your own doom. The token in your belt pouch feels heavier than the scroll ever did, because now you're not just carrying news, you're carrying lives. You stop once to drink from your water skin. It tastes like leather and a disappointment. You wipe your mouth with your sleeve, blink up at the sky, which is still gray, like the clouds. Can't decide whether to storm again or just stare moodily. And then you keep going. The good news? You know the way back. The bad news? So do the people trying to stop you. You're an hour from the ridge when you hear it. Footsteps, not your own. Quick, coordinated, deliberate. You freeze, duck, press your body into the ground, and barely breathe. Patrol, 5 men, wrong uniforms. Definitely not yours. They're armed, alert, and very clearly looking for something, or someone. You flatten deeper into the moss, trying not to sneeze, as a beetle crawls over your lip. You bite your tongue. Wait, they pass, but slowly, too slowly. One stops near you, sniffs the air. You think, I'm dead. He mutters something, probably about the smell, and moves on. You wait 5 more minutes, just to be sure. Then you crawl backward, quiet as betrayal, before standing and breaking into a quiet sprint through the trees. You don't stop until your legs threaten to organize a strike. You reach the ridge near sunset. The sky, mercifully, doesn't rain. At the camp gate, the guard waves you in without a word. You must look worse than usual, which is impressive, considering your usual look is damp cryptid with a scroll addiction. Inside, the commander's tent glows with torchlight. You don't wait for permission. You duck in. He's there, tired, armor off, face lined with stress. You hand him the bronze token. No words, just the weight of it in your palm. He takes it, closes his eyes, mutters something under his breath that sounds like a prayer, or a curse, or both. Then he says, "How many?" 10, maybe 11, you say. He nods slowly, then hands you a flask. You drink without asking what's in it. Fire, that's what's in it. You cough. He chuckles once, just once, and then nods toward a cot in the corner. You collapse onto it, boots and all. Sleep hits you like a spear to the face. And in that sleep, you dream of running, not because you're chased, but because you don't know how to stop. When you wake, it's barely light out. The camp is stirring. Smoke rising from cook fires. Your back hurts. Your ankles throb. But you're alive. A young soldier walks in, hands you a roll of bread and some dried meat. You say thank you. He shrugs. You're the messenger, right? The one who saved the flank? You nod. Chew. He says, cool, and walks off. That's it. No medal, no parade, just cool. You finish eating, brush the crumbs off your cloak, and head outside. There's always another scroll. And sure enough, a scribe spots you before you even reach the fire. He waves a sealed tube, like it's a gift. You take it, no questions. The seal is black. You blink. That's new. Black means urgent, top priority, eyes only. You're not sure if you should be honored or horrified, probably both. You nod, tuck it into your satchel, turn, and start walking, because this is what you do. No horse, no backup, just a message, and a road, and the knowledge that somewhere out there, someone needs to hear what's inside this tube, even if you don't. Historians still argue whether wartime messengers were the true lifelines of communication or just expendable tools. You've decided it doesn't matter, because in this job, you're not the hero, you're not the villain, you're just the one who keeps the story moving, one painful, muddy, uncertain step at a time. The black sealed message burns a hole in your mind the entire first hour of your walk. You don't open it, you can't, but you want to. You want to know if it's some kind of surrender notice, or an order to retreat, or maybe something that'll doom an entire village and leave you carrying the guilt like a soggy bedroll. You also want to know why you were picked to carry it. You're fast, but not the fastest. You're reliable, but not special. So why the black seal? No one tells you. That's the rule. Messengers don't ask. Messengers don't peek. Messengers don't speak. You just run. You're following the river now, which means the ground is less muddy, but more treacherous. Slippery stones, slick grass, and occasional roots that reach up like they're trying to end your career early. At one point, you slide down a hill on your backside and nearly toss the scroll into the water. You scream. Silently, you check the seal, still intact. You exhale, slowly, like your lungs are worried about offending the parchment. Back on your feet, you check the sun, still climbing. You'll make it to the forward command if you keep this pace. Probably. The thing is, messengers rarely just walk. There's always something, and today, it's the sound of hooves. Again, but this time, they're behind you, fast, gaining. You turn, a rider in armor, your side. Thankfully, he reins in sharply, eyes scanning you like you're a battlefield. Are you the courier? He asks. You nod. He dismounts, hands you a smaller scroll. No seal. Take that with you. Same destination. You raise an eyebrow. What's in it? He shrugs. Update. They'll know. You tuck it away, now carrying 2 pieces of information that could potentially get you killed. Then again, not carrying them could get someone else killed. It's always one or the other. You part ways, and he gallops back the way he came. For a moment, you envy him. The speed, the authority, the horse. Then you remember, horses die first in battle, and you prefer your legs intact, even if they hate you. You pass a rock formation shaped vaguely like a man giving up. You salute it. You keep going. Midday comes, then passes. No ambushes, no scouts. Just trees, the river, and your own paranoid brain. But then, voices. Ahead, you freeze. 3 figures by the bank, washing, laughing. Civilians? You get closer. You realize, deserters. They see you. One stands, hand drifting toward a blade. You raise your hands. Messenger, you shout. Just passing through. They eye you. One of them, a woman with a shaved head and a knife tucked in her boot, steps forward. What's in the pouch? Orders, you say. Not for you. She grins. Everything's for someone. That's the problem. She walks around you once, examines your boots, your belt, your face. You don't move. She spits on the ground. Keep going, runner, she says. But you didn't see us. Didn't see who? She laughs. You walk. Quickly. After half a mile, you let yourself breathe again. You wonder how many messages never made it because of moments like that. How many scrolls ended up burned, buried, or used as kindling by deserters who didn't care what they carried as long as it was flammable. You press onward. Eventually, the path bends toward a ridge. You climb, and at the top, finally, you see it. The forward command post. Tents, banners, soldiers moving with the kind of tired purpose that says they've been holding the line longer than anyone expected. You approach slowly. A guard sees you, recognizes the black seal, waves you through like you're carrying a bomb, which, in a way, you are. Inside the command tent, the air is thick with candle smoke and tension. You deliver the message to a man who hasn't slept in days. He breaks the seal, reads, grunts, then hands it to his second, says, "It's confirmed." You don't ask what. He looks at you. "There's another one?" You nod. Hand him the second scroll. He reads, eyes narrow. Then, finally, he looks at you. "Good work," he says. 2 words. You nod. That's all you need. As you leave the tent, someone passes you a flask. Someone else hands you a chunk of bread. It's warm, still soft in the center. A miracle. You sit on a rock near the fire, stare into the flames, and take a bite. The sky darkens. The men around you speak in low voices. You don't ask what the scroll said. You don't need to know. You're just the messenger. And for tonight, you delivered. The fire crackles beside you, and you let the heat lick your face, thawing the chill from your bones and the fatigue from your eyes. You chew your last bite of bread slowly, as if that will trick your stomach into thinking it was a meal. It won't, but it's still better than nothing. You stay near the flames longer than you should, because it's warm, because no one's shouting your name yet, because, for a moment, you're invisible, which in this job is the closest you get to peace. But peace doesn't last. It never does. You hear your name, not just messenger, your actual name, which is rare enough to feel like a threat. You turn. A scribe is waving you over. He's young, pale, looks like the type who's never delivered a message farther than the next tent. He hands you a sealed pouch and says, "Urgent, no delays." You almost laugh, like delays are something you choose. You open your mouth to ask the destination, but he's already walking away. You look down. Red seal. Again. Different symbol this time. One you've seen before. It means the message goes behind the front line. A commander's outpost. A day's journey. Maybe more if the roads are bad. Which they always are. You stand. Stretch. Check your pack. Still got the rock. Still got the chit from the last camp. Still got enough willpower to pretend this is fine. You pull your cloak tight, take one last look at the fire, and head out before someone gets clever and assigns you something worse. The path out of the forward post is narrow, littered with broken crates and discarded spears. You pass a group of soldiers digging a trench, their faces so blank with exhaustion they might be sleep digging. One looks up as you pass, says, "Better you than me." You smile, but it doesn't reach your eyes, because you know that line goes both ways. You move fast now, legs still sore, but cooperative. The cold air bites less when you're moving. The forest thins. The moon rises. You decide to push through the night. You've done it before. You'll do it again. What else is sleep but a luxury messengers aren't allowed? After a few miles, the road splits. One path is shorter, but through old marshland. The other is longer and loops through a ruined village you remember all too well. Neither is good. You pick the village, because mud is worse than ghosts. The buildings still stand, mostly roofs caved in, doors swinging on broken hinges, empty windows like open mouths. You walk quietly. Your boots echo. Your heart beat louder than your footsteps. You try not to remember the last time you were here. The screaming, the smoke, the woman who handed you her baby and begged you to run. You didn't run. The baby didn't make it. You keep walking. A door creaks in the wind. Somewhere an owl hoots. You pass a pile of ash that used to be a tavern. You used to stop there for bread, for stories, for reminders that people still laughed. Sometimes. Now, just rubble. You exit the village without seeing a soul. Maybe that's a blessing. At dawn, you hit a river. No bridge. Of course. You walk upstream until you find a place narrow enough to cross. Barely. You strip off your boots, tie them again around your neck, and wade in. It's not deep, but it's cold. So cold it reaches inside you and tries to shut everything down. Your teeth chatter. Your knees go stiff. But you make it across. Barely. You dry off as best you can. With your cloak, slip your boots back on. Press the scroll tube to your chest. Still sealed. Still dry. You mutter a quiet thanks to whatever gods tolerate messengers. Then you keep going, because even soaked, half frozen, and sleep deprived, you still have one job. Historians still argue whether messages like these ever made a difference, whether the scrolls carried words that changed battles, saved lives, or just shifted blame. You don't know what this one says. You never do. But you carry it anyway, because someone has to. Midday arrives with no warning, just a warmer breeze and the first rays of sun you've seen in 2 days. You pause, raise your face to the light, and then the arrow hits the tree, right next to your head. You freeze. Another arrow thunks into the ground at your feet. You run. No questions, no hesitation, just instincts. The trees blur. The scroll bounces in its tube. You duck under branches, leap over roots, slip on moss, nearly fall. Don't fall. Keep running. Voices behind you. Shouts. A dog barking. You push harder. Your lungs burn. Your throat aches. You bite your lip and taste blood. Then, just ahead, you see it. A hilltop. Beyond it, a watchtower. The outpost. Safety. You throw yourself up the hill, crawling at the end. Hands clawing into dirt, knees scraping rock. One last push. Then, a horn, a guard. You scream, "Messenger!" They see you. And a moment later, arrows fly. They're arrows. Over your shoulder, past your head, driving back whatever chased you. You stumble through the gate. Collapse. The scroll still sealed. The job still done. For now. They carry you into the outpost like you're made of glass and bad decisions. 2 soldiers, one under each arm, hauling you past the barricades and through the courtyard while you try very hard not to throw up your lungs. Every step you took over the past few hours is now staging a violent protest in your joints. Someone shouts, "He's got the Black Seal," and that's all it takes. You're no longer just another mud-covered wreck in the middle of a war. You're important for approximately 10 minutes. They take the scroll, escort it straight to the command tent, and forget you exist, which, honestly, is comforting. You collapse against the stone wall of a stable, not the most glamorous place to recover, but it's dry, and no one's bleeding on it. You pull your knees to your chest and rest your head on them, letting the adrenaline fade like cheap dye in a rainstorm. Eventually, someone tosses you a blanket. Someone else hands you a hunk of cheese that might have fought in a war itself. Judging by the hardness, you eat it anyway. Not because it's good, because you're a messenger, and messengers eat when they can. Across the courtyard, you spot a familiar face, the scarred officer from the last encampment. She nods once in your direction. That's all. Recognition in this job is rare. You take it. A young scribe approaches you, holding a slate. You're headed back to Central, right? You blink at him. Back. He nods. There's a return message. Of course there is. You sigh through your nose and stand, because sitting too long only gives your muscles new reasons to hate you. You stretch. Your back pops like a tree in a windstorm. The scribe holds out a tube. Smaller, lighter, silver seal. You've only seen that once before. Strategic priority, high clearance. Could change the course of something important. Could be lunch instructions. You never know. You tuck it into your satchel, sling your pack back over your aching shoulders, and accept a refill on your water skin. It's warm, slightly metallic. Could be wine, could be regret. You drink anyway. Then you set out again, because if the message moves, so do you. The return journey starts deceptively well. The sun's out. The road is dry. No wolves. No screaming. No arrows. You even find a fig tree and pocket 2 overripe fruits before a bird screams at you and dive bombs your hood. Nature's tax. The air is thick with the scent of dust and time. You settle into a rhythm. Your feet move on their own. Your mind drifts. You think about everything and nothing. About the scroll in your bag. About the men who died 2 days ago. About the woman who said, "You didn't see us," and how her knife was just a little too clean. You stop once at a creek. Wash your hands. Splash your face. Watch the water bead off your skin and ripple outward. You wonder how many messengers looked into this same stream, wondered the same things, left the same footprints. You pick up a stone, smooth, cool, round. You put it in your pocket next to optimism. They can be friends. Late afternoon, a crossroads, again. But this time, you know the route. You take the eastern path, winding through a gorge that's usually quiet. Usually, you don't hear anything for the first mile. Then, voices, sharp, military. You press yourself to the wall of the gorge. Peek, soldiers, your side. But something's wrong. They're surrounding a man. Another courier, hands bound, kneeling. You can't hear what they're saying, but one of the officers looks furious. You get closer, carefully. Then you hear it. Message was intercepted. This one might have handed it off. You feel your heart kick your ribs. You step forward, boldly, stupidly. I'm a courier, you say. Who's this? They turn, look surprised. The officer frowns. Another one? Who sent you? You give the command post's name. His eyes narrow. And the seal. You pull the tube out. Still silver. Still untouched. He nods, almost reluctantly. This one, he says, gesturing to the kneeling man, had a scroll with a seal already broken. That's serious. A broken seal means compromised intel, fake orders, a setup, or a desperate courier trying to read something they shouldn't. The man protests, says he found it like that. No one listens. They drag him away. You want to say something, but you don't, because you know the rules and the cost of breaking them. You keep walking, because silence is part of the job. You reach the outer ring of the central camp just before nightfall. You're waved through quickly. No one wants to mess with a courier carrying silver. You head straight for the command tent. You deliver the message. The general doesn't look up from his maps, just says, "Good," and gestures for someone to bring you food. It's stew this time. Thick, hot, containing at least 2 vegetables. You sit beside the fire and eat without speaking. Another message delivered. Another scroll untouched. Another day survived. You glance down at your satchel. The scroll's gone, but the rock, still there. Optimism. And his new friend, silence. You pat your pocket. You rest your head against the tent pole. And you wait, because there's always another message. And if it's not in your hands yet, it will be soon. You wake to shouting. Again. But this time, it's not urgent. Shouting. It's morning shouting. The kind that involves logistical chaos, missing boots, and someone misplacing a horse. You lie still for a moment, eyes open, staring at the ceiling of the tent. You listen. Campfires crackle. Someone's banging metal together, either making armor or trying to stay awake. Somewhere nearby, a rooster crows, like it's paid by the scream. You sit up. Your joints ache, like they were personally insulted in the night. Your blanket is damp with dew and regret. You shuffle outside, boots half-laced, face like a kicked onion. Someone hands you bread. Someone else hands you a new scroll. Green seal. You blink. Green means misdirection. You groan, because those are the worst. You unwrap it in the privacy of your satchel and scan the instructions. It's not a destination. It's to. You're to deliver a false message to Camp Epsilon to draw attention away from a real maneuver happening at Ridge 3. The fake message is in your pouch, sealed, official looking, totally believable. But the actual message, the one no one's supposed to know you're carrying, is hidden in the seam of your cloak, a strip of parchment so thin it might blow away if you sneeze too confidently. So now you're carrying lies and truth, walking a trail littered with dead messengers, wearing a face that needs to look clueless to one camp and urgent to the other. You love this job. You Eat the bread in 4 chews, chug some water that tastes like boiled moss, and start walking. Epsilon first. You rehearse your face. Weary but efficient. Fast but forgettable. You tell yourself you're just another cog. Nothing to see here. The road to Epsilon is flat, for once. Long stretches of dirt lined with low brush and the occasional crumbled mile marker. You pass a merchant cart, broken wheel, 2 oxen lying in the dust, and a boy playing with a spoon like it's a sword. You wave. He doesn't. Epsilon's banner rises on the horizon by mid-morning. Red and white. Crisp. Clean. Too clean. You enter the camp, scroll tube in hand. The guards wave you through after a brief check. One pokes your satchel. You joke it's just dirty laundry. He doesn't laugh. Inside, it's quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that smells like suspicion and plans. You find the officer, deliver the scroll, say nothing more. He reads it, nods, and calls for a courier to send a reply. You exit. No questions asked, which is almost worse than if they'd interrogated you. Back on the road, you walk 10 minutes before stopping. Check your cloak. The real message is still there. Good. You feel the weight of it now, not just physically, but in your chest, like something dangerous and fragile beating next to your ribs. You take the side trail to Ridge 3. It's steeper, harder, the kind of path no one takes unless they absolutely must. You climb hand over foot. In some sections, your boots slipping on mossy stone, your palms scraped from grabbing roots. You don't care, because this one matters. You reach the ridge before sundown. It's barely a camp. 3 tents. No fire. Soldiers with dirt on their faces and steel in their eyes. You give the password. A spear lowers. You're waved in. The commander's tent is no bigger than yours back home, and he looks like he hasn't slept since last winter. You hand him the strip of parchment from your cloak. He reads it twice, then burns it. You ask, "What now?" He says, "Now we win." You leave the tent, sit on a rock, watch the sky turn gold, and then blue, and then black. You think about the fake scroll you delivered, the look on the officer's face, the invisible trap now being set in motion. You wonder if he'll ever know. You hope not. You sleep in the dirt that night, one hand on your pouch, the other over your chest, because the only thing more dangerous than what you carry is the people who know you carry it. And you just made 2 enemies without saying a word. The next morning starts with no orders, which is rare and suspicious. You wake up with a stiff neck and a vague sense that something is overdue. You glance around the ridge. The soldiers are awake, quiet, focused. One sharpens a blade with the calm of someone who expects to use it before lunch. You stretch, check your pack, and ask no one in particular. "Anything going out today?" A nearby guard grunts. "Nothing yet. They're waiting." Waiting. You hate that word. Waiting means tension. Waiting means there will be something, and it'll probably involve running, fire, or both. You spend the morning helping patch a hole in a tent with twine and old cloth. It's not your job, but no one stops you. It's something to do, something that makes you feel like a person again, not just a pair of legs carrying other people's secrets. Just after midday, the commander calls you in. You wipe your hands, duck into the tent, and brace for it. He holds out a scroll. Thin, fast seal. No color, no label. That's a message, meant for speed and silence. This goes to Central Command, he says. No stops, no side quests. Got it? You nod. Got it. He leans forward. You don't eat. You don't sleep. You don't think. Just run. You nod again, because this is the part where you become the wire between two fires. You slip the scroll into the pouch under your cloak. Take a flask of water and a piece of something that might be bread or might be bark, and set off. The road back is familiar, but it doesn't comfort you because it's too familiar. And if you know it well, that means others do too. By the second hour, you start cutting corners, moving off the main trail, slipping between tree lines, hopping over stones like you're being watched, because maybe you are. Historians still argue whether couriers were trained in evasion tactics or just paranoid enough to survive. You're not trained. You're just constantly uncomfortable, and that's kept you alive. So far, halfway through the forest pass, you hear it again. Hooves. This time, more than one. You duck low and slip down an embankment, crawl through the underbrush, and wait. 5 riders pass above you. Wrong uniforms, wrong colors, wrong direction. You hold your breath. One of them stops, looks around. You go still. Even your heartbeat tries to get quieter. Then, finally, they ride on. You stay put. Another 5 minutes, just in case. When you climb out, your hands are covered in burrs and old sap. You don't brush them off. You run, full speed. The trees blur, your legs scream, your lungs burn. You reach the river and leap it where it narrows, barely clearing the edge, landing in a skid of mud and nearly going down. But you don't. You keep going. You don't stop until the central camp rises into view. Banners snapping in the wind, guards posted at every angle. The scent of sweat and metal thick in the air. You stagger through the gate. One look at your face and someone shouts, "Messenger incoming." You push past them, straight to the command tent. No stopping. No greetings. You drop the scroll in the general's hand and collapse on the ground like a dropped sack of wet wheat. He reads it, mouths a few words, then turns to his aide. It's begun. You don't ask what. You don't want to know. You just lie there, staring at the canvas above, trying to remember the last time you blinked. Someone brings you water. You drink it without moving. You want to sleep, but there's something else, something in the back of your mind. You sit up slowly. The riders, you say. Wrong side, 5 of them. Near the pass. The aide nods, jots it down. Did they see you? You shake your head. Maybe. Probably. Yes. He doesn't ask again. That night, the camp buzzes. Orders fly. Armor clinks. People move like they already know tomorrow will bleed. You watch it all from the edge of the fire. Someone sits next to you. A soldier. Young. Shaking. First battle tomorrow, he says. You? You pause. Then say, I've been in all of them. Just. From the outside. He nods like he understands. He doesn't. No one does. Not unless they've run through darkness, with blood in their mouth and lies in their satchel. You lie back. Let the fire warm your boots. Let the tension settle into your ribs. You are not ready for the next scroll, but you will be, because you always are. You wake up before the sun does, not because someone calls you, not because there's a horn or a scream, or the usual pre-dawn chaos of a military camp. No, your body just decides, enough rest, time to suffer again. You sit up, your back cracks, your knees object, your head feels like it's still halfway dreaming about rivers and hoofbeats and burning tents. You roll your shoulders, stand, shake the sleep out of your bones. Then you go find someone to tell you where to go. It doesn't take long. A tall officer with eyes like granite and a beard that's clearly survived several winters gestures you over with a flick of his head. No words, just scroll in hand, seal already drying, urgency radiating off him like smoke from a fresh fire. You don't even ask where. You just take it. He says, get it to Blackstone Hold by nightfall. You flinch, because that is not close. Blackstone Hold is deep in contested territory, not quite behind enemy lines, but close enough that you'll be playing a game of, is that smoke from a chimney or a siege? You nod once, tuck the scroll into your cloak, check the fit, double check the wax, then you leave. Again, because that's what you do. The road to Blackstone is long, rocky, unforgiving, the kind of route that looks like it was designed by someone who hated feet. The morning is misty, visibility low. Every tree is a potential archer. Every branch snapping behind you could be wind or something worse. You move quickly, but not loudly, and for once, your legs cooperate. You reach the halfway marker before midday. A fallen statue of some forgotten general, now lying in 3 moss-covered pieces, like he got bored and exploded. You stop for water, a bite of dried meat, then you hear it, from the trees, crying, not loud, but close. You tense. Civilians? Bait? Ambush? You creep toward the sound, one hand on the hilt of your rusted dagger, the other ready to sprint. You find a girl, maybe 10, mud-covered, curled under the roots of a tree. She sees you and flinches, hard enough to hit her head. You hold up your hands. Messenger, just passing through. She doesn't reply, but she doesn't run. You kneel beside her. Where's your family? She points vaguely toward the west. Gone. You don't ask more. You reach into your pouch, offer a strip of meat and the last of your water. She takes both, like she expects you to pull them away at any moment. You pause, then dig into your cloak and pull out a spare ribbon of cloth. Tie it to a nearby branch, high and visible. If soldiers come this way, they'll see it. She says nothing, but her eyes say, thank you. You leave her there, because if you don't, the message won't get through. And if the message doesn't get through, more villages like hers will disappear. Your heart weighs more than your pack now, but your pace quickens, because now it matters more. You move into hill country. The trail narrows. The rocks get sharper. A wrong step here means a broken ankle, or worse. You take every step like it's a negotiation. Eventually, you crest a ridge. Blackstone Hold appears like a ghost in the mist. Dark towers, wooden walls, a flag half hanging in the still air. You exhale, but you don't relax, because there's still a mile to go, and plenty of things can kill you in a mile. You descend carefully. Halfway down, you spot something. Movement behind a boulder. You drop. Listen. Nothing. Then, scrape. Steel on stone. Someone sharpening a blade. You crawl forward, peer around the rock. 2 men. Not yours. Not from any side you recognize. Mercenaries, maybe. Or deserters turned opportunists. They've got a 3rd man tied up. Beaten. Stripped of his armor. A messenger bag lies on the ground nearby. You stare at it. The man's not moving. You're not sure if he's dead. One of the others kicks him. Laughs. You look down at your own bag. The seal. The scroll. The mission. Then back at the scene. You draw your dagger. It's not much, but it's sharp. You step back. Make a wide arc. Climb a tree. Wait. The wind shifts. They don't notice. You pull a stone from your pouch. Not optimism. And throw it hard in the opposite direction. They both look. You jump. Land on the first one's back. Your dagger finds his shoulder. He screams. The second turns just in time for you to kick him square in the knee. He goes down. You grab the tied man and run, dragging, half lifting, heart in your throat. He gasps. Alive. Behind you, one of them shouts. You don't stop. Not until you're pounding on Blackstone's gate. Breathless, bloodied, still dragging a man who might never walk again. The guard pulls you both. Inside, you collapse. The scroll still intact. Delivered. Just barely, you wake to silence, which, in a military hold, is never a good sign. No shouting, no marching, no clang of pots or sharpening blades. Just the kind of quiet that wraps around you like a question nobody wants to answer. You sit up, slowly this time, because your entire body feels like it's been trampled by a cart full of rocks and slightly offended oxen. You're in a bunk, a real one, wood frame, straw mattress, even a blanket. You blink a few times, just to make sure it's not some fever dream brought on by dehydration and emotional damage. It's real. You swing your legs over the side, stretch, wince. Someone left a bowl of something next to your bed. You sniff it, barley and broth. You don't ask for details. You drink it. A knock at the door frame. You turn. A guard stands there. You're needed in the briefing hall. Of course you are. You nod, wipe your mouth, and follow. Blackstone, Hold is different from the other camps. Older, quieter, less of a staging ground, and more of a last stand kind of place. The walls are thick, the people thicker. Everything smells like old leather, oil, and determination. The hall is small, dark wood beams, a map table in the center, 2 officers bent over it, whispering. They glance up when you enter. Courier, one says, not unkindly. The man you dragged in was carrying partial orders. You nod. I saw him tied up. We know. You're lucky you weren't next. You raise an eyebrow. I'm not lucky. I'm fast. He cracks a smile. Barely. The second officer speaks up. We need a runner. South Valley. Fort Greywall. You exhale through your nose. Another. They hand you a scroll. Double sealed. 1 red, 1 black. You blink. That's new. They nod. This one's layered, the officer says. Outer message is standard. Inner one, only for their commander. So, you say, if I get caught and they break the first seal, they'll think it's just supply numbers. And the second, then we lose the war. Oh, great. You tuck it carefully into your cloak. This one's not for pouches. This one stays close to your ribs. You refill your flask, grab a heel of bread, stretch your legs once, twice. Then you leave, because you never stay long, and because war doesn't wait for messengers to finish breakfast. The route to Greywall is open country at first, wide fields, rolling hills, nothing but grass and wind, and your own breath in your ears. You move fast. The weather holds. Your boots are finally breaking in, which is both comforting and tragic, because that means you've been doing this long enough to earn sore spots on top of your calluses. By midday, you hit the edge of a forest. You hesitate, because forests mean shadows, ambushes, things that move, like they own the world. But the open road is worse, too exposed. So you slip under the trees. The light dims. The air changes. It smells like moss, sap, and something else. Like someone's been here recently. You tread carefully. Every snapped twig underfoot sounds like a warning. You keep one hand on your dagger, the other pressed against your chest, where the double-sealed message rides. You whisper to yourself, just to stay sane, just a scroll, just a forest, just one more run. Then, movement. Ahead. A deer? No, too quiet, too purposeful. You duck behind a tree. Wait. Then, a whisper. Not yours. Too close. You spin, dagger raised, face to face with another messenger. She's crouched, breathless, mud-streaked, eyes wide. She hisses, "Friend, Camp Meridian. Don't stab me." You lower your blade. She relaxes. Ambush down the path. She says, 4 men, setting up, looking for runners. You nod. This is normal now. You exchange no names, just glances. Alternate trail to the east, she says. But it's rough. Rough, you say. I can do. She grins. Good. Stay alive. Then she melts into the trees. You never see her again. You veer east. The terrain gets worse. No trail, just thorns, rocks, and roots that seem emotionally invested in your failure. But you push through, because that's what you do. By sunset, you crest a hill and see Fort Greywall. It's ugly, squat, more wood than stone, but real. You wave your arms before they can mistake you for a threat. They let you in. You deliver the scroll directly to the commander. He breaks the red seal, reads, then finds the black seal hidden underneath. Freezes. This, he says, is going to change everything. You don't ask how. You don't want to know. You just nod, turn, and find a quiet corner to collapse in. The world spins gently. Your knees feel like gravel, but the message is delivered. And for tonight, that's enough. You wake up in Fort Greywall to the sound of laughter. Real laughter. Not the half-mad kind born from sleep deprivation or borderline hysteria, but the kind that bubbles up when someone tells a good joke, or when the stew is actually hot for once, or when the rain doesn't show up for the 5th day in a row. You lie still for a moment, disoriented, because laughter, that's not part of your usual soundtrack. You sit up slowly, expecting some hidden catch, a commander's briefing, a new scroll, an alarm bell. But instead, someone hands you a cup of something warm. You nod a thank you, sip it. Tastes like herbs and weak broth and mercy. A young soldier, barely out of boyhood, smiles and says, "They said you came through the East Trail. That's insane." You shrug. "It worked." He grins wider. "You've got a story now. You want to tell." Him, "No, actually. You've got dozens. Most you'll never tell. Because messengers don't come back with stories. They come back with limps, or scars, or pieces missing. Still, you nod. He offers a chunk of bread. You accept it, because this is rare. A moment when you're not running. You finish eating, stand, stretch. You know what's next. Even before the officer calls for you, you follow him into the strategy tent. Inside, another scroll, another seal. This one deep purple, embossed with the mark of a division you've only heard about in whispers. Intelligence, intercepts, high-level maneuvering. You frown. The officer doesn't say much. This one goes north, through the ridge pass. You pause. You mean the pass they closed off last month? Because the path collapsed? He nods. Half collapsed. There's still a route. Narrow. High. You close your eyes. Because of course there is. He hands you the scroll. Message is time sensitive. Deliver before nightfall, or it's worthless. No pressure. You take the scroll. Weigh it in your hand. It's slim, light. Feels like it might blow away if you breathe wrong. You refill your flask, retie your boots, and start walking. The trail starts pleasantly enough. Soft incline, birds chirping, the kind of morning that makes you almost forget there's a war at all. Then you reach the ridge, and the world tips sideways. The path becomes a narrow shelf of rock clinging to the side of a mountain like it's trying to change its mind. One wrong step, and it's goodbye, scroll. Goodbye, feet. Goodbye, dignity. You press yourself close to the cliff wall. Each step deliberate, measured. A loose stone skitters away. You hear it fall, and fall, and fall. You don't wait to hear it land. You keep going. Midway through, the wind picks up. Of course it does. It howls past your ears like a warning, tugging at your cloak, pushing your balance just a little off. You crouch, pause, grip a jutting stone and close your eyes. You're not important. You whisper, "Just the scroll, just the scroll." Then you stand. Move again. Step, grip, slide, balance, breathe. Repeat for an hour until the path widens again, just slightly, enough to stand without hugging stone. You exhale, and then snap. Behind you, footsteps. You freeze. Turn slowly. A man stands 10 paces back, cloaked, hooded, hands empty, but eyes calculating. "Courier," he says. You nod once. He doesn't move. You don't move. Then he says, "I'll take the scroll." You smile. Politely, "No, you won't." He shrugs. "Didn't think so." He lunges. You're faster. You duck, spin, draw your dagger. He lands a glancing punch to your ribs. Your whole torso lights up with pain, but you get a slice across his forearm before stumbling back. He laughs, then draws a blade. Bigger than yours. Better. You run. not down the path, up. Because if you can't win the fight, you change the terrain. You scramble up a rocky slope, pulling yourself hand over foot as he chases close behind. You reach a ledge, pivot, and throw your flask. It hits him square in the chest. He stumbles. You kick loose a pile of stones. They cascade down. He yells, goes tumbling, not off the cliff, but enough to buy you seconds. You don't waste them. You sprint. Up, over, and, finally, down. The far side of the ridge opens into a valley. Green, wide, distant towers poking up like punctuation marks in a sentence you haven't finished yet. You run, faster than you have all week, because the scroll is still in your cloak, and your hands are shaking, and the air tastes like adrenaline, and almost dying. Again, you make it to the camp with a limp and a face full of dirt. You drop the scroll into the officer's hands. He checks the seal, nods, then hands you back your flask, bent, dented, leaking. You smile. You'll keep it anyway, because now it has character. Like you. You sit in the grass, looking back at the ridge, wondering how many messengers didn't make it, how many scrolls never got delivered, how many people think messengers just run. They don't. They climb cliffs. They outpace knives. They carry the war in their hands and never get statues for it. But you don't need a statue. You just need another breath. You take it because the next scroll, it's already on its way. By now, the scrolls are beginning to blur together. The seals, the destinations, the names scrawled in crisp script that you're never supposed to read. None of it feels separate anymore. It's all just the mission, over and over. The same breathless cycle of carry, deliver, repeat. You wonder when your legs became more important than your thoughts. You wonder when you stopped being a person and became a path. This morning, you're told nothing. Just wait. So you wait. You sit near a post where horses are tied. One of them eyes you with the kind of disdain only a creature that knows you're beneath it can muster. You nod at it like you understand. Because honestly, you do. Around you, the camp pulses, quietly. Not calm, not loud, just focused. Something's coming. You can feel it in the way people walk faster without running, the way conversations pause when officers pass, the way the sky looks like it's leaning in, eavesdropping. Eventually, the commander sends for you. You step into the tent, expecting another scroll. But this time, it's different. There's no scroll. There's a box, small, wooden, latched with a bronze clasp. The commander watches you, eyes heavy with something that's not quite pity. You deliver this to Havenwall. You blink. That's 3 days out. He nods. Which is why you'll take a horse. You blink again. A horse you haven't ridden since your last attempt ended in an argument with a fence, a sprained ankle, and a horse that laughed. You don't argue. You take the box. It's light, but sealed tighter than any scroll. Not meant to be opened, not meant to be questioned. What's inside? You ask. He doesn't answer. He just says, don't let it touch the ground, which is not ominous at all. You find the horse outside the tent. Big, gray, smarter than you, of course. You climb into the saddle, like someone trying to remember how bones work. The horse sighs. You ride. The road to Haven Wall is long, but at least it's not vertical this time. You pass old roads, old ruins, one sign that's fallen, sideways, pointing nowhere in particular. Riding is faster, but not easier. Your legs ache in new places. Your hands cramp around the reins. The box thumps lightly against your ribs every time the horse moves. You talk to it. The horse. Because why? Not, you name it, regret. Regret ignores you. You pass a burned-out village by mid-afternoon. Not recent, but still fresh enough to smell. You pause, dismount, look around. No bodies, just blackened beams and silence. In the center of the square, you find a toy, a wooden bird missing one wing. You pick it up, turn it over, pocket it, because you don't know why. And sometimes, that's enough. Back on regret, you ride harder. The trees begin to thicken. The light changes. You stop to water the horse at a creek and check the box. Still latched. Still warm. Wait, warm? You press your palm to the lid. Definitely warm. You consider opening it. You don't. You ride faster. As dusk rolls in, you find a camp. A small one, hidden behind a curtain of pines. Scouts. Quiet types. Not much for conversation. They give you food, water, a place to sleep, and say nothing about the box. Except for one man. He stares at it too long, then mutters, "Hope it's not another one of those." You say, "What do you mean?" He says, "You'll find out, or you won't. Either way, it gets where it's going." Comforting. That night, you sleep badly. You dream of scrolls unraveling endlessly. You dream of running, but your legs don't move. You wake in sweat. Regret looks at you like he had a better dream. You ride. Again. The second day is harder. Your thighs protest every bounce. Your spine asks for retirement. The box seems heavier now, like it knows you're close. Late afternoon, Haven Wall appears in the distance, a narrow fortress built into the cliffs, where messages go to die or become legends. The gates open when they see the box. You dismount, legs shaking. A woman in dark robes takes it from you with gloved hands. She doesn't speak, just nods. You want to ask what it was, what it means, if it was worth it, but you don't, because messengers don't ask. Messengers just carry. She disappears with the box. You sit on a stone bench, alone, tired, hungry, but you're not shaking anymore. You reach into your pouch, pull out the wooden bird, still missing a wing, still real. You turn it over in your hands, hold it tight, and wait, because soon enough, they'll call your name. You don't leave Haven Wall the next day, which feels strange. You're used to running before the bread is even stale, to someone shoving a scroll into your chest with a grim face and zero explanation. But here, no one calls for you. No one even looks at you like you're supposed to be somewhere. You wake up expecting orders. Instead, you get porridge. It's decent. You sit in the courtyard under a crooked tree, eating slowly, unsure what to do with your hands when they're not holding reins or sealing tubes. Around you, life moves in quiet, efficient loops. Haven Wall isn't a war camp. It's a relay station, a signal node, the place where messages are copied, confirmed, rerouted. Messengers come in cracked and bleeding, and others go out smiling, none of them staying longer than they need to. You stay because someone told you to wait, because you don't want to ask why, because deep down, a tiny part of you is scared of the answer. Midday comes, then late afternoon. Still no word. You pace the walls. You count arrows and barrels. You clean your boots. You rewrap your bandages, even though you don't need them. Finally, at dusk, a tall figure in a brown cloak finds you by the stable. You, they say. You nod. They toss you a sealed scroll. Heavy, thick parchment, red wax shaped like a bird, in flight. No words. You don't ask. You never do. But then, they hesitate. And that's not normal. The figure says, don't read it. Don't lose it. And if you can avoid it, don't deliver it too quickly. You stare, because that's a new one. But all they say next is, North Tower, follow the river. Then they disappear. You stand there for a moment, scroll in hand, processing the one thing you were never trained for, vagueness. You leave Haven Wall under cover of starlight, because now you're nervous, and nervous messengers run best in the dark. The scroll feels colder than it should. You tie it to your belt, not in the usual pouch. Closer, tighter. You feel every step of it as you walk, like it's pulsing against your hip. The river is quiet, too quiet. You follow it north, hugging the bank. It takes half the night to reach the footbridge, a narrow structure that's seen better centuries. You cross slowly, boots clunking on warped wood. The scroll presses harder against your side, like it wants out. But you don't stop, and you definitely don't open it. By sunrise, your legs are ready to mutiny. You rest by a ruined watchpost, a crumbled tower barely taller than a cart. You sit against it, staring at the scroll, still cold, still sealed. You don't trust it. You want to know what's inside. You don't want to know what's inside. You close your eyes, try to sleep. Then, snap. Not a twig, a voice. Clear, close. Courier. You jolt awake, hand on your dagger. A woman stands a few paces away, hood down, sword sheathed. She doesn't reach for it. You're carrying the raven seal, she says. You don't respond. Because how does she know that? She steps forward. We've been tracking it. That message hasn't been delivered in over a year. Every time someone tries, they vanish. You stay silent, because this is very much not in the handbook. She kneels slowly, doesn't touch you, doesn't touch the scroll, just says, whatever you're carrying, it's dangerous. You finally speak. Then why does it keep getting sent? She gives the smallest smile. Because someone wants it to be delivered, and someone else really doesn't. She stands again. You've got two choices. Finish the route, or bury it. You don't reply. She walks away. No threats. No chase. Just a warning hanging in the air, like mist. You reach the base of the North Tower before dusk. It rises like a broken finger from the ground. Surrounded by dead trees and older stories, there are no guards, no camp, just silence. You approach slowly, step by step. The scroll hums against your side now. Not literally, but you feel it. You enter the base of the tower. Dust, bones, a shattered lantern, Cobwebs, like lace over secrets. You move to the center of the room. There's a pedestal, black stone, carved with symbols you don't recognize. It wants the scroll. You don't move. You remember what the woman said. You also remember what the brown-cloaked messenger said. Don't deliver it too quickly. So you wait. Just breathe. And then, a sound. Behind. You. You turn. Too late. A blade at your neck. A voice in your ear. You made it farther than most. You freeze. The scroll is still at your side. The pedestal still waits. And you? You might have just walked into a war no one talks about. You don't move. The blade stays at your throat, cold and impossibly steady. Whoever's behind you isn't guessing. They've done this before, many times. Your heart hammers, but you stay still. Because in this job, staying still can be the bravest thing you do. The voice, soft, precise, not angry, but calm in a way that makes it worse, says, "Step away from the pedestal." You nod, once. Slowly lift your hands. The scroll tugs at your belt as you shift. Feels heavier, feels alive. The stranger removes the blade, but not the thread. You turn around. A man, cloaked in dark gray, eyes sharp as frost, stands with one hand on the hilt and the other held out. "The scroll," he says. You shake your head. Message is bound for delivery. He doesn't blink. "That scroll is a lie." You say, "So's most of what I carry." He smiles. "But it's not friendly. It's a decoy. It's been passed around for years. The message inside is poison, figuratively and literally. It names commanders who are already dead, orders moves that never happened. Every courier who's delivered it has vanished or started wars that weren't meant to start." You hesitate. He adds, "You give that scroll to anyone, and people die. The wrong people." Your hand hovers over it. He steps closer. "I don't want to hurt you. You're just the latest runner. But if you give that to the tower," he doesn't finish the sentence. You look back at the pedestal. You feel it now. The pull, like gravity, but sideways. "Why keep sending it?" you ask. "Because someone keeps replacing the seal, resetting the order, like a curse on a loop." You exhale slowly. He says, "You can break it. Right now. Burn it. Drop it in the ravine. Walk away. You want to. Gods, you want to. But your hands move before your thoughts do. You untie it. Hold it in both palms. Then you ask the one question you've never dared ask before. What happens if I read it?" His eyes widen. "Don't." But it's too late. You crack the seal, just slightly, not enough to unroll, but enough to peel it back. A smell escapes, faint, bitter, old parchment, yes, but also lavender and iron, and something that makes the hairs rise on your neck. The scroll twitches in your hand. He lunges too slow, because suddenly you're not in the tower anymore. You're on a battlefield, alone, wind screaming, banners torn, figures moving like shadows in fog. 1,000 voices whisper at once, "Deliver us." Then you're back, on the floor, scroll still sealed, but resealed now, with a symbol you don't recognize. The man stares at you, pale. You touched the loop. You sit up slowly. Yeah. He backs away. You need to bury it. Right now. Not deliver it. Not burn it. That thing rewrites reality. You want to argue, but your head still buzzes with voices that weren't yours. He grabs your arm. You were in the field, weren't you? You nod. Dizzy. They tried to write a battle back into existence. You walked into the blueprint. You blink, because it sounds mad, but it feels true. You clutch the scroll. No one else gets this. You say, no more dead couriers. No more rewrites. He nods. I'll take you to the gorge. The one with no name. You leave the tower together, not speaking. By nightfall, you reach the edge. Black cliffs. No bottom in sight. He hands you a pouch of ash. Throw this in first. It kills the pattern. You do. It sparks mid-air, like stars being born and crushed at once. Then, the scroll. You don't hesitate. You toss it. And for one breathless second, it hangs in the air, then vanishes like it was never real. You drop to your knees. Exhale. The man stands beside you, silent, then says, you broke the chain. You nod. And suddenly, you feel light, like for the first time in months. You're not carrying more than your weight. He starts to leave. You call out, what if someone writes another? He looks over his shoulder. Then you'll run again, and he disappears into the trees. You stay a moment longer, just you. No scrolls, no seals, no lies. And then, for the first time in a very long time, you walk away with nothing in your hands. You make it back to the nearest camp 2 days later, on foot, with no scroll, no orders, and no explanation anyone would believe. You expect suspicion, maybe a cell, maybe worse. Instead, they hand you food. No questions, just a bowl of something warm and the quiet glance of someone who's seen too many couriers come in with less than you, and sometimes nothing at all. You eat, you sleep, you don't dream. The next morning, someone from command approaches, uniform neat, expression unreadable. You're being reassigned. You nod. Of course you are. No mention of the scroll. No mention of the man in the tower. No mention of the field that tried to rewrite itself with your fingerprints on the edge of the ink. They hand you a new dispatch tube. Slim, light, red seal. This one's real. You feel it in your bones. Destination, Crosspoint Citadel. A long run, overland, hilly terrain, supply drops sparse. You don't complain. You just lace your boots, tighten your pack, and leave before sunrise. The trail north is mercifully dull. For the first day, no wolves, no sword-wielding strangers, no haunted messages, just hills, birds, and a brief argument with a squirrel over who gets the shady spot under a tree. The squirrel wins. By evening, you've reached the outpost near the ridge. Standard check-in. A hot drink. A fire that smells like wet pine and burning boots. Another courier's there too. Older. His beard looks like it fought in 5 wars and gave up on shaving entirely. You nod at him. He nods back, says nothing. You sit in silence, passing a flask of something neither of you identifies. He finally speaks. You ever carry a scroll that talked back? You pause, then shake your head, because even if you had, what would you say? He laughs, low and broken, then adds, don't. If you do, drop it and run. You nod once. The flask makes another round. No more words are needed. Day 2 is colder. The wind bites harder. The sky presses low. Your hands stay tucked inside your sleeves. Unless you absolutely need them, you move fast. Your breath fogs like a signal. By mid-afternoon, you pass a grave marker. Wooden, crooked, tied with red twine. Someone's attempt at remembrance. You stop. Bow your head. No name. Just a carved message. He almost made it. You leave a piece of your rations at the base. A gesture. A promise. A reminder. You walk on. Late that evening, you arrive at Cross Point. They wave you in without delay. Couriers are always expected. Even when they're not, you deliver the scroll. The officer reads it, frowns, and walks off with urgency. You don't ask. You never do. Instead, you find your way to the stables. Sit beside a post. Rest your head against a warm wall and breathe. One scroll, delivered clean, no tricks, no riddles, no illusions. It almost feels too easy, but you're not going to complain. A younger runner sits beside you, nervous energy crackling off him like a fire left too long unattended. First time, he says. You smile. You'll survive. Any advice? You think for a second, then say, tie your boots right. Never trust a dry trail. And if anyone ever tells you not to deliver something, listen. He stares. You pat his shoulder. You'll understand. He probably won't. Not yet. But one day, he might. Just like you did. That night, you sleep without dreams again. The quiet kind. The earned kind. And somewhere far away, you imagine a scroll drifting through wind, dissolving like fog at sunrise. Gone, but not forgotten. Morning at Cross Point arrives with frost in your hair and a strange ache in your right ankle that you're 80% sure wasn't there yesterday. You stretch it out, groan softly, and brace yourself for the walk to the command tent. No surprise. Another scroll is waiting, but this one is wrapped in oilskin, tightly bound, double sealed, and unusually heavy. It doesn't look thick, but the weight tells you there's more than just words inside. The commander, young, sharp, someone who probably still sleeps indoors, doesn't even look up when he hands it over. To Iron Hook Watchtower, he mutters, already scribbling on another dispatch. Take the ridge path. You pause mid-turn. The ridge, you ask. Didn't that get cut off in the last landslide? He sighs. Exactly. Less traffic. You'll be harder to intercept. You don't argue, because when the path gets more dangerous, it usually means the scroll just got more important. You tuck it deep into your cloak. It rests against your chest like a heartbeat that doesn't belong to you. The trail up to Iron Hook is aptly named Stone Ridges, Broken Steps, roots that leap at your boots with surprising agility. By midday, your thighs are considering a work stoppage. By early afternoon, your water is low, your food is gone, and the only company is a hawk that keeps circling you like it's trying to decide whether you're dinner or entertainment. And then, footsteps. You freeze behind a cluster of rocks. Crouch. Listen. 2 men. Too close. Talking. You catch fragments. Said he took the north trail. Gotta intercept before nightfall. Scrolls not for him. You don't wait for more. You backtrack 3 steps. Find a gap in the stone and wedge yourself into it like the world's most anxious lizard. They pass. You hold your breath. One of them pauses right in front of your hiding spot, spits, then moves on. You wait. 5 minutes, then 10. Only when the hawk swoops down and nearly scalps you do you exhale. You emerge filthy, bruised, and far more awake, and you run. Hard. By sundown, the watchtower rises ahead, lean, gray, half sunk into the rock like it's trying not to be noticed. 2 guards outside. One nods, the other holds out his hand. You hesitate, then give them the scroll. He checks the seal. His eyebrows twitch just slightly. Wait here. You do. Minutes pass. Then you're summoned inside. The interior is sparse. Stone walls, a long table, a map with far too many red markers. An officer stands at the end, middle-aged. Scar down one cheek, like someone once tried to erase him and gave up halfway. He holds the opened scroll. Do you know what you brought? He asks. You shake your head. He nods. Good. Then he gestures to a box on the table. You're taking something back? You sigh. Because of course you are. This isn't a rest stop. It's a relay. He places a small pouch in your hand. It's warm. It pulses slightly. You don't ask. You've learned. But he sees the question anyway. Not dangerous, he says. Just delicate. You nod. He walks you to the door himself. Before you leave, he says, if you get followed, don't run to us. Lead them away. You don't respond. Because you understand. You're not just a messenger. You're a shadow. Decoy. A piece on the board that can move fast and disappear faster. You take a different route back, through a ravine so narrow, your shoulders brush both sides. Through a creek bed, cold enough to make your bones complain. In 3 languages. You don't see anyone, but you feel watched. So you leave false markers. You scatter ash in the wind. You drop a decoy scroll, blank, tucked in a discarded boot. Let them chase that. You keep the real package close. And when you finally make it to a rest post near the border, the woman there greets you like she already knew you were coming. Courier, she says. You nod. She takes the pouch without checking it, then hands you something in return. Not a scroll. A letter, handwritten, sealed with soft gray wax and a stamp you've never seen. She says, you read this one. You blink. Me? She nods. That's what it says. You turn it over. Your name is written on the front. Not courier, not runner. Your name. You haven't seen it in months, maybe longer. Your hands shake as you break the seal. You open the letter and read one line. The war may never end, but you can stop running. You stare at it, and for the first time in what feels like a lifetime, you don't know what to do next. You don't run today. You walk. That's it. No orders, no scroll digging into your ribs, no boots pounding like war drums against the mud. Just the trail, and your breath, and a strange sense of not being in a hurry for the first time in, what, weeks, months, maybe forever. Your legs don't know what to do with the slower pace. They twitch like a horse still expecting the whip. But you keep walking, deliberately, choosing not to rush, because the scroll is gone, the war is still out, there, and for the first time in a long time, you're not part of it. You stop at a hilltop. The view sprawls out beneath you. Patches of forest, a lazy creek meandering between rocks, the remnants of an old road curling like a scar across the earth. You used to sprint that road with blood in your mouth and someone else's fate in your pack. Now you just look at it, breathe it in. You sit for a while on a flat rock, letting the breeze tangle your hair. It smells like pine and old wood smoke. Someone, somewhere, is baking. You swear you catch cinnamon, and your stomach growls in response. You should keep walking, but something tells you to linger, so you do. A small bird hops near your boot. You don't scare it off. Eventually, a boy passes by, leading a mule with 2 crates balanced across its back. He looks at you like he's trying to figure out whether you're a farmer, a soldier, or something in between, probably because you still wear the courier's boots, scuffed and stitched. But your satchel is empty. Your hands are calm. You a runner? He asks. You shake your head. Not anymore. He squints. You sure? You've got the look. You smile. I'm sure. He shrugs like that's a boring answer, then moves along. But you keep smiling, because for the first time, that answer didn't feel like a lie. You take out the letter, the one with your name on it, the only thing you're carrying now. You unfold it again. You've read it too many times already, but somehow, each time feels like the first. The war may never end, but you can stop running. It's not a command. It's not an assignment. It's a permission slip you didn't know you needed. And now you believe it. You fold the letter again, slowly, precisely, and tuck it back into the inside of your tunic. And you walk on, not because someone's waiting on you, not because the clock is ticking or a commander's watching from the ridge, but because walking feels like remembering who you were before your footsteps were someone else's tool. The path dips into a wooded valley, quiet and green. You hear a stream before you see it, and when you reach it, you take off your boots without hesitation. Sit on the bank, dip your feet in. The cold stings, but in a good way, like it's washing off layers that didn't belong. You lean back, stare at the sky. It's clear today, pale blue. A single hawk glides in a lazy spiral, like it's scouting the land for something better than war. You envy it, then you chuckle, because you're not that different anymore. You stay until the sun begins to shift. Then you dry your feet, lace your boots, and keep walking. The land here isn't marked on most maps. That suits you fine, because you're not following a map anymore. You're not tracing someone else's lines. You're writing your own, step by step. Later, you pass a farmhouse, smoke curling from the chimney, a little girl sitting on the porch, swinging her legs and humming to herself. She sees you and waves. You wave back. She doesn't know what you've done, what you've carried, what you've given up, and you don't need her to. The road curves, opens into a grove with soft grass and tall trees that make you feel small, in the best way. You make camp there, just you and the breeze, and a few curious squirrels. You build a fire, not because you're cold, but because you can. You eat the last of your bread and let your muscles soften. For once, you don't sleep with one hand on your dagger. You let the night take you slowly, gently. In your dreams, you don't run. You sit by the old message board at camp, watching papers flutter in the wind. Some are blank, some are burned. At the edges, one has your name on it, but you don't reach for it. You just watch. Then you wake. The fire's still warm. The trees whisper something you don't quite understand. And you know you're not going back. Not to the posts. Not to the pouches. Not to the endless cycle of running for people who never bothered to learn your name. You're heading west. Not for war. Not for duty. For something else. Maybe peace. Maybe home. Maybe just to see what's finally waiting at the end of a road that wasn't marked urgent. But you'll find it. And when you do, you won't be a messenger anymore. You'll be something better. You'll be free. The morning after your night in the grove greets you with mist and the quiet kind of cold that wraps around your fingers and settles into your bones. You roll up your blanket slowly, fingers stiff, every joint reminding you that walking might be lighter than running, but it's still work. You rise, stretch, exhale. There's no urgent camp waiting, no commanding officer barking at you before your eyes are even open. Just the trail and the soft chirp of birds announcing a day that doesn't belong to the war. You like that. You pack up your few things, an empty satchel, your water skin, the wrapped letter folded neatly and pressed close to your chest, and start walking. The trail west isn't marked, just a thin line of worn earth and memory. A courier would miss it. A commander would call it useless. But you call it freedom. Mid-morning, you find an overlook, a rise in the land that offers a glimpse of the valleys below. The same ones you once crossed at night, dashing between shadows, dodging archers and ambushes, and worse. Now they seem peaceful, untouched. You sit on a flat rock and let the silence fill your lungs. There's no courier whistle, no coded bird call in the trees, just wind and the rustle of leaves. You eat what's left of your bread. It's dry, but filling. A luxury, honestly. And then, a cart, coming slow, pulled by a mule with a limp and guided by a man with one eyebrow and 3 teeth. He squints at you. You on the run? You raise an eyebrow. From what? You ask. He shrugs. Most folks are running from something or toward it. You consider that, then answer, neither. He whistles. That's the rarest kind. He offers a lift. You decline. He doesn't take it personally, just nods and rumbles off down the hill. You walk again, past olive trees and sun-baked fields, past a stone arch that marks nothing anymore, past a shrine where someone's left flowers, wilted but real. You pause there, touch the stone, and feel something ancient press back. Not a god, not a vision, just a memory of others who once stood right where you are, knees aching, hearts pounding, trying to find a reason to keep moving. You think of the letter again. The war may never end, but you can stop running. You're beginning to believe it. Afternoon stretches wide and slow. You pass a village, too small to have a name, just a ring of huts, a chicken coop, and a well surrounded by worn stones, and the laughter of children. They race barefoot through the grass, shouting nonsense and swinging sticks like swords. One of them sees you and stops. You a soldier? He asks. You shake your head. Messenger? Nope. He frowns. Then what are you? You think? I'm resting. He stares, like that's a weird kind of job. Then grins and runs off. You stay a while. Sit near the well. An old woman brings you something warm in a clay bowl. Lentils and carrot. Mostly water, but cooked with love and not rationed bitterness. You thank her. She pats your shoulder and says, "Don't tell me where you came from. Just rest. You do." As the sun dips low, painting the fields in orange and shadow, you walk again, not far, just far enough to feel like your legs still work. You camp on the edge of a wheat field, where the wind plays soft music through the stalks. That night, you stare at the stars and feel something you haven't felt in ages. Not relief, not peace, just space. Room to breathe. Room to remember who you were before they handed you your first scroll and said run. You whisper your name into the dark. Not your number, not your code, your name. It feels strange in your mouth, but good. You pull your blanket up to your chin and close your eyes. Sleep comes fast, and for the first time in a long time, it doesn't chase you down. You wake before sunrise, not because of an alarm, not because someone's shouting for you to pack and ride, but because the birds are having a loud, joyful argument outside your campfire ring. It's a new kind of wake-up, one you don't mind. You stretch your arms overhead, feel something in your shoulder pop, and smile as you pull on your boots. They're old now, stitched twice, soles worn thin, but they've molded to your feet in a way that makes them feel like home. You break camp, slowly, not lazily, just deliberately, the pace of someone with nothing to prove and nowhere urgent to be. The path ahead winds gently uphill. You walk it with your hands tucked behind your back, watching how the mist curls through the underbrush like smoke from a morning kitchen. The chill air wraps around you like a wool cloak. Your breath fogs in front of your face, and you watch it for a moment, like it's proof that you're still here, still breathing, still moving. Mid-morning, you reach the top of an old ridge. You pause there because you know it, not just vaguely, exactly. This is the place where you sprinted, barefoot, the day they assigned your first scroll, when you didn't even have a real courier pack yet. You were younger, hungrier, dumber, hopeful. You close your eyes and picture it again. The scramble, the adrenaline, the commander's voice barking faster, as if distance and death could both be outrun if your legs were good enough. Back then, you believed they could. Now, you're not so sure. But you keep walking, and soon, the ridge opens into a clearing you remember better than your own childhood. The place where it all began. The ruins of the first message post. No banners, no guards, just the bones of the place. A collapsed wooden shelter, a cracked flagstone courtyard, a post where a board once listed assignments by number and region. You approach slowly, as if afraid it'll vanish if you get too close. It doesn't. If anything, it feels more solid now than it ever did when it was full of life. You find a dry spot near the message post. Sit and breathe. For a long time, that's all you do. You dig in your cloak and pull out the letter, the one with your name, the one that told you to stop running. You unfold it, smooth it flat, read it again, silently, lips moving slightly like a prayer. The war may never end, but you can stop running. You read it twice, then again, not because you've forgotten it, but because you want to remember how it felt to be told you had permission to rest. When you finally fold it again, you don't put it back in your cloak. You take the small nail you keep in your pack, the one you always used to pin messages to doors when no one was around. You pin the letter to the cracked post, right below the splintered sign that once read, "Runner's Quarters." It flutters slightly in the wind. You step back and look at it, not like a message, more like a monument, a warning, a blessing, an ending. You stay a little longer, long enough for the sun to climb, for the breeze to change direction, for the birds to move on to new trees and new arguments. And then you stand, you stretch your arms, roll your shoulders, and you turn away. No backward glances, no final salute, just footsteps heading in a direction that doesn't have a route number or a distance marker. You're not delivering anything. You're not being watched. You're not chasing a target or trying to beat the weather or praying a bridge still exists on the other side of a foggy river. You're walking, not for survival, not for glory, just because the road is there and your legs are willing, and for once, you're not racing your own shadow. You pass an old milestone covered in moss. It doesn't say anything useful, just a chipped inscription. Distance means little without purpose. You pat it gently and keep going. Hours later, you reach a field of wildflowers. You cross through it without hesitation. The petals brush your legs. Bees hum nearby. A butterfly lands briefly on your sleeve, then flutters off again, as if even it's decided not to follow you anymore. You sleep that night under the open sky, with no fire, no fear, and nothing left to carry but your own body and the stories that made it. You sleep well, and you dream of silence that never needed running to earn it. You lie in the soft grass. The stars spread overhead like scattered ash from a fire you no longer have to tend. The earth beneath you is solid, gentle, not the cracked roads or the splintered bridges you've raced across. Just ground, just stillness. Your hands rest on your chest, no scroll tucked under them, no blade by your side, just your breath, slow, steady, and the faint scent of flowers carried by the wind. The silence here is heavy, but kind. You've outrun messages meant to wound. You've crossed borders, drawn in panic. You've delivered hope and lies and maps soaked in blood. You've forgotten your name more than once. But tonight, you're no one's messenger. You're no one's burden. You're just a heartbeat on the earth. You close your eyes, and the sounds fade, gently. Crickets, wind, the whisper of your last footsteps settling behind you. There is no destination now, only direction, and that's more than enough. Let the world run its war. Let the camps whisper and the towers burn their candles down. You've handed off your final message, and the only thing you carry now is rest. So exhale, let it all go. Let the stillness hold you like a quiet friend. No orders, no noise, Only this moment, only this breath, only sleep.